So it means like it's just like you have the parameters, you have the speedometer on your car or on your car or on your bike. So you just get the idea how fast is it moving or how slow is it moving, and so on. Everything you get the better idea of it. Okay. So here we see speed, velocity, and acceleration all are connected together. How they are connected together, we can get the better idea in our today's session. First of all, we have goals about it to investigate what is needed to describe motion completely. Okay, that is our first goal over this session. Number two is to compare and contrast speed and velocity. Okay, we are going to compare what is speed and what is velocity, like what is the differences between speed and velocity. And other one is to learn about acceleration, because all these factors are connected together. So here, to describe motion accurately and completely, a frame of reference is needed. That is much important thing. Why is it important? Because wherever we are moving, okay, we are in a motion, we must have a ground. We must have a position where we can move. Okay, like just like a ground where the players play. So for the motion, we must have a ground, we must have a reference frame. Okay, so that's why we need a frame of reference for the motion. And whenever we are describing motion, we are connecting it with speed. And whenever we are discussing speed, we are relating it with velocity. And whenever we are getting the idea of velocity, we are directly up to acceleration. How is it happening? We will see in our next slides. So here you see, we know an object is in motion if it changes its relative position from that reference point. Just like you just hit the ball, okay? You just hit the ball. It was close to your foot when you just hit it. But whenever you just hit it, it will throw another position. So it means your ball just changed its reference position. Okay, and it will uh, come to rest and attain another reference position after getting into rest over there. And to get the ball back, you have to move towards that position. Okay, or someone else have to kick that ball back to you. Okay, so that is the motion and its relationship with the force, applying force, and with a relationship with the reference position. Okay, so reference position is much important whenever we are discussing motion. Okay, and their relationship with force. Objects that we call stationary, such as a tree, okay, a sign or a building, make good reference points. Just you will mention, like in a football game, we just mentioned from where we have to hit. That is reference point actually. So from where we have to hit, that actually relates the ball towards a central position. Like it's this is the reference point to start the game. Okay, that's the importance of reference point for getting start motion. Okay, the passenger can use a tree as a reference point to decide if the train is moving or not. Just like whenever you are in train, whenever you are in car, you see the trees are moving back, but not actually. You are actually moving forward. Trees are not moving back. So that is the importance. Like you see, to see if you are moving, you are changing your reference points. At once your reference point is one tree, and at another point your reference point got changed, and it's another building or another tree. Okay, so that is the actual demand of motion. Next, we are describing motion over here. Whether or not an object is in motion depends on the reference point. Okay, you choose. That may be different. That may be in a plane. That may be in some air. Like we see, different things are moving. Different things are in motion. So they are along with different reference points. So that is up to you where you put on your reference point. Okay, just like this. Relative motion from plane. You see here, the plane doesn't appear to be moving. The skydivers appear to be moving away. A point on the ground appears to be moving away. So that's why we get the idea like we are moving towards the reference point or moving away from the reference point. Okay, similarly, relative motion from the skydivers, the plane appears to be moving away. Like skydivers, whenever seeing over the plane after jumping out of it, they will see that their reference point, that was plane, is moving away from them. Okay, but actually they are moving away from their reference point. So that is the importance of reference point in the motion. Again, we see skydivers do not appear to be moving. The ground appears to be moving closer. Okay, wherever they are moving away from plane, they are actually moving towards the ground. Okay, so here we see relative motion from the ground. The plane appears to be moving across the sky, right? You see whenever you are in skydiving, you see that the plane is moving across the sky. The skydivers appears to be moving closer together, right? And the ground doesn't appear to be moving. Okay, that is actually the phenomena of reference point in the motion. Okay, now we are going towards our actual discussion, that is about this distance, speed, velocity, and acceleration. So, first of all, what is distance? Distance is actually just changing the position from one point to the other point. Just like this car is moving from here to here. It's just changed its position. Okay, it's just changed its position from A to B. So it means it's just covered a distance. Okay, so distance don't need any direction, because distance is a scalar quantity, and displacement is something that is a vector quantity, because for displacement, same definition, just like distance, like the change in position of the object with respect to time is displacement. But here we have to mention its vector, like from where you have started, and where you are going. Like you have started from home and you are going towards school. So the minimum distance between the home and the school is called displacement. Okay, a quantity that has magnitude and direction is called displacement, and that is actually vector, right? And over here, distance is, so we get the idea. Distance is a scalar, and displacement is a vector quantity. Next, we are going to discuss speed and velocity. So what is speed? Hopefully you have the idea of speed, because you are, whenever traveling, you see the speedometer on your cars, on your motorbike. So if you know the distance an object is travels in a certain amount of time, you can calculate the speed of the object. Okay, you know the distance. Whenever you know the distance, you can get the speed. Just divide that distance with time and you will get the speed. That is the formula over here, you see. And whenever you want to get average speed, like what was your average speed throughout your journey, you will get the average speed by dividing total distance with time. Okay, you get the idea now, that to just go along your journey and divide the total distance with the total time you have consumed during your flight or during your driving. And what is velocity now? That is much important concept over here, because we are moving from scalar to vector quantity. That is just same like speed. Just over here we have to mention the directions. That is the important point, because velocity is a description of an object's speed and direction. Like you are calculating speed, like distance or displacement divided by time, because we take here displacement because we are discussing vector quantities. Velocity is a vector quantity. So whenever you are dividing displacement with time, you are calculating velocity. And velocity is whenever you are applying force and the object is in motion, then it means you are just moving, right? You are, whenever moving, you are covering some distance, okay? And whenever you have a directional motion, then you are covering displacement. And whenever you are just covering displacement, and you are displacement, and you are watching it with time, like you know what is the time passes and what is the total time, then you are actually calculating your velocity whenever you know from where to where you are moving. Like just we see our like our in our aeroplanes, okay, in our aeroplanes and in our ships, they know from where to where they are moving, so they are actually calculating their velocity. As the sailboat's direction changes, its velocity also changes. So whenever direction is changing, like of plane, of boats, so it means that their velocity get changed with the change in direction, okay. Although magnitude may be same, okay, magnitude may be same, but the directional change will cause a change of the value of velocity due to the directional change, okay. So now we have a better picture about speed and velocity. Like what is speed and what is velocity? Both are similar, just the difference is speed is scalar and velocity is vector. So how are speed and velocity similar? Because both measure how fast something is moving. Like displacement over time is velocity and distance over time is speed. Means the factor of time is much important over here, because it is referring us towards like what is speed and what is velocity and how fast something is moving with time. Number two point that is much important, that is how are speed and velocity how are the speed and velocity different? So that point says because velocity includes the direction, okay, and the speed doesn't need any direction, because speed is a scalar quantity and velocity is a vector quantity. So we need we need direction just for calculating velocity, not for speed. Is it velocity more like a distance or displacement? Why? What you will relate now? Like if I'm going to hire this line, then you must say that velocity is directly linked with the displacement, because displacement is actually a vector quantity and distance is a scalar quantity. So we are not taking this. Okay, we are taking displacement to calculate velocity. Okay, you get the better idea now. We are moving forward toward the graphical explanation. We know whenever we are moving, like we are moving with some speed, we are covering some displacement. Okay, we are covering some distance. Sorry, displacement no, because we are not discussing velocity graph. We are discussing speeds graph. So whenever we are discussing speeds graph, we have time at x-axis, okay, that is x-axis and that is y-axis. So whenever you are at x and y axis, you are taking time on x axis always and distance on y-axis. And for whenever you will calculate the velocity over here, you will take only displacement on y-axis, and all the other things will remain same. So what is the graph denoting? Graph is denoting like whenever time was passing, the distance was increasing with time, and at that point, it's get the maximum distance. It just covered its maximum distance. And whenever we see a straight line or horizontal with respect to time, it means distance is same. Okay, like the velocity time graph means that there is no change in distance. Whenever there is no change in distance, it means no velocities are occurring over here, because we know whenever we are changing our position, or we are changing our distance, then it means we are covering some distance, and we have some speed. Okay, so over here, from here to here, we have just we just get the idea of increase in speed again, object being moving at a different speed. So in this region, our object just changed its speed. That was the turning point for our objects changing in speed. Okay, so next we have the steepness of a line on a graph is called slope. That is an important thing. Again, we know whenever we are dividing our y component of graph with the x component of graph, that is slope. M is equals to y component divided by x component. So what was on y axis? What was on y-axis? On y-axis there was distance. Okay, and what was on x-axis? It was time. So whenever you are dividing distance with time, you are actually calculating speed. So it means in a distance time graph, slope is actually speed. So it we will say it's speed over here. Okay. Okay, that is speed actually. So a constant slope represents motion at constant speed. That is much important thing over here. Like whenever slope represents motion, okay, a constant slope, there is constant slope, same slope for all. So constant slope represent motion at constant speed. That means uh, uh, there will be no you say no velocity. Okay, because or you will say that whenever the slope is same, the speed is constant. Okay, you see, speed is constant. Why? Because same slope is appearing for all readings. Here you was at a same slope. Here you was on same slope. It means you are just making it clear that speed is just constant because slope is constant. Just a minute, for we are taking break for azan. Okay, we are starting again. So here we see, using the point shown, the rise is 400 meters and the run is 2 minutes. Like we have distance that is 400 meters and we have time that is 2 minutes. To find the slope, you divide 400 meters with 2 minutes, so we get the slope 200 meters per minute. If it remains same, like throughout the journey, it remains 200 meters per minute. So it means the uh, we just get the idea that is it clear now? Is it clear now? Hopefully our voices just get resolved, and we get over here where we have a constant slope. Right now I am asking you set a formula triangles to find speed and velocity. So I will appreciate you if you draw a graph, okay, of your readings. Like you are taking x-axis, you are taking a y-axis and putting time on x-axis and putting distance on y-axis, and you are making a slope, okay. First of all, you are making a direction, like from is your speed is increasing with time or decreasing. So after that you will draw slope. Like what is slope? Slope is taking component from y and taking component from x and dividing them, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you are taking two readings from y-axis and two readings from x-axis, and you are taking m is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and after dividing them you get slope. You take average readings too, just like we have taken in our last slide. It was 200 meters, right? It was average reading, and we got 2 minutes. That was an average time. So whenever we divided 200 meters with 2 minutes, uh, we got 100 meters per we got 100 meters per minute slope, and that slope is actually the speed. You take different values, up to you. So hopefully you will get the better idea now. Now that is our last topic, that is about acceleration, that is directly linked with velocity. So what is the linkage of acceleration with velocity? Acceleration is actually the rate of change of velocity. Like rate of change means change in the velocity with respect to time. Okay, you get the better picture now. Like how the speed is linked, how the motion is linked with speed and velocity, and how velocity is further linked with acceleration. So that is the big picture now. Like we get the idea of acceleration out of velocity. Like whenever velocity is changing with respect to time, we are getting the better idea, like there is an acceleration. And keep in mind, whenever you are applying force on something, on any mass, you are actually causing acceleration. How you get the idea of it? F is equals to ma is the best reference, because Newton's second law of motion relates that whenever you are applying force, there must be an acceleration, and whenever there is an acceleration, there must be a force that is applied over that object. So here we see the we get that acceleration can result from a change in speed, right? That may be increasing, that may be decreasing. What is increasing? Whenever we are moving with speed, and we are changing our position, we are moving with different velocities, okay, that is increasing. And what is decreasing? Decreasing is actually when it's just like deceleration whenever we are applying brakes. So a change in direction. And the other thing, because acceleration is a vector quantity, as velocity is vector quantity too, so whenever we are discussing acceleration, we must say what's the direction of the object. Okay, so that may be back, that may be forward, that may be up or down, or left or right, anything. Okay, that depends upon the motion or change in direction maybe. So like velocity, acceleration is a vector quantity. We need its uh, uh, like direction. Okay, okay, the pitcher throws the ball speeds towards the batter of the bat is goes. Okay, it's going gone at a home run. Just like whenever we are playing baseball, whenever we are playing cricket, we are playing badminton, we are applying force on the ball. Whenever we are applying force on ball, it gets in motion. And whenever we are applying force on a on something, we must say there is an acceleration, as I related it with the second law of motion in the last slide. So it means whenever you are applying force, there must be acceleration. Okay. Before landing, the ball went through several changes in motion. Okay. It's another discussion in projectile motion. Okay. We will study it further in next sessions too. And here we just get the idea, like whenever it's moving in air, it's changing its speed and direction and everything. So the ball stopped when it is hit the bat, change direction, sped up again, and eventually slowed down. Most examples of the motion involve similar changes, because we see you pushed a swing. Okay, you pushed a swing that started moving in simple harmonic motion, and it gets to the rest position after a time. So anything that gets start moving comes to the rest whenever the energy or the force amount gets used in during its motion. Okay, whenever the energy gets consumed, the object comes to the rest, because air resistance is there, friction is there, and everything like that is applying opposite force on the ball detracts its path, and it gets slowed down and comes to the rest at the end. Okay, that is the a better idea of understanding the motion and acceleration. So what is acceleration actually? As the ball falls from the girl's hand, how does its speed change? You have to brainstorm over these questions. Number one, how does its speed changes? Number two, what happens the speed of the ball as it rises from ground back to her head? Okay, it's going up and coming back to that girl. So brainstorm over it. I will ask you. At what point does the ball have a zero value velocity? Okay, and how does the velocity of the ball change when it bounces on the floor? So there are four questions that are under discussion, that I will ask you in next session, or at the end of the session. So you will share your views in comment section, or you can raise hand. So may I get I just turned your mic on and you can answer. So there are four questions that are directly linked with the understanding of acceleration. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask. Hopefully you just noted these questions. You can feel acceleration. Okay, like turbulence. If you are moving at 500 mph east without turbulence, there is no acceleration, because you are not changing your velocity. Whenever you are changing velocity, whenever something changing velocity, there must be acceleration. We're taking break for azan. Can you hear me, everyone? So here we are going to just end our session because we are done with our discussion, and we have done our like our topics about speed, velocity, and acceleration. So here, let me know if it's clear, voice is clear, so I can continue. Okay, here we are going to wind up our session. So we are ending over it like you can feel acceleration, right? How you can feel acceleration? Whenever there is change in speed. Okay, whenever your object is moving, or you are an observer. Okay, you are observer that is inside that object, just like a plane. So whenever plane feels the turbulence, okay, whenever plane gets into the turbulence, it means that it's just uh, in its change, okay, in its change of velocity. And whenever there is change in velocity, there must be acceleration. Okay, so how we can calculate acceleration, that is important point over here, because we are just going to wind it up. So we have the better idea of what is acceleration and how we can count, how we can calculate acceleration. So answer is very much simple. Just as we calculated speed, just we have calculated velocity, similarly we will calculate the acceleration. Same question, same formulas. The difference is just whenever we take a change in speed with total time. Okay, like change in speed means final velocity minus initial velocity. Okay, so vf minus vi divided by total time or change in time, then we comes to know about acceleration. And what are the units of acceleration? Because the speed has the units of meters per second, so acceleration has the unit of meters per second, so it comes out meters per second square. So here next we get the idea of calculating acceleration. Okay, so how we can calculate acceleration? It's simple. I am giving you this simple question. So you are provided with initial speed, you are provided with initial final speed, and you are given with time. So you will just put these all values over this formula, and you will calculate the acceleration. Anyone want to share the answer? That is 22 minus 4 divided by 3. So what will be the answer of it? It's 18 by 3, right? And 18 by 3 will get what? 6 meters per second square, right? So we get the better picture now, that what is the speed, okay, and what is the velocity, and how velocity is linked with acceleration, and how acceleration is linked with the motion. Like whenever we are applying force, there is motion, and motion, in motion we calculate acceleration. So here we are just winding it up and calculating acceleration. What quantity are you trying to calculate it? That is actually the acceleration of a roller coaster, right? And whenever you are putting your values, you are getting its 6 meters per second square. That is the answer I have already told you. So here is the graph for acceleration, that is much more interesting, just like of velocity. Right. So what is the graph of acceleration over here? We are taking time on x-axis. We are taking speed on y-axis. Why we are taking these two values? Because whenever speed gets changed with time, we calculate acceleration. That is actually the velocity. But here we can take speed because we are just making a graph. We are not taking its direction. So that's why. So at the start, we take the object from one point that is at starting at some starting point here, and whenever the times gets time passes, here we come to a maximum position, and then we see where the acceleration is not changing. Okay, so wherever acceleration is not changing, that line will be straight and will be horizontal to x-axis, time axis. And whenever the car will lose its maintenance, like it's losing its velocity, when it happens whenever we apply brakes. Okay, so that is the complete journey of our car. Like at the start it gets keep on increasing in speed, and whenever it gets a constant speed, the speed line gets horizontal with time, and whenever we apply brakes, its speed keep on decreasing up to the minimum level. Okay, so that was the clear picture of it. Now we have final discussion, that the slanted straight line on the speed versus time graph tells you the cyclist is accelerating at a constant rate. The slope of the speed versus time graph tells you the object's acceleration. Okay, so predicting how would the slope of the graph changes if the cyclist were accelerating at a greater rate, at a lesser rate. So what will be your answer? I want to know that how you have learned about these concepts. So here there are two questions about this graph, that you will get a greater rate change or you will get a lesser rate change. So you have to predict over from this graph. Okay, and the other one is a simple graph that is a time and distance graph that we have just discussed in our previous slides. So distance versus time graph is a curve line on the distance versus time graph tells you that the cyclist is accelerating. That is a supporting graph. The last one was the actual graph of acceleration. Here, this graph is supporting graph. That is assigning you that the cyclist was in acceleration. So you can calculate that acceleration was decreasing or increasing. So it's up to you, like you come with what type of results over here. I will be waiting. So here we are at the last slide, and I am assigning you the simple uh, questions that we have discussed in this session. You can take screenshot of it, or you can note the assignment questions over your paper, and you can share with me your answers. Here is assignment where you will come with the number one. Write a difference between distance and displacement. I will suggest you uh, to write definition, to write formula, okay, to write unit, along with the direction if any one of it has. And the last thing is graph. So if you come with this portfolio, you will get the maximum grades in your paper. Okay, so because you are coming with a complete portfolio of differences, so it means you have a better concept of this. Okay, like what is distance and what is displacement. Similarly, you have to put the picture for speed and velocity. What is the picture? Again, you have to define the speed and velocity separately. You have to define the formula of speed and velocity separately. You have to put the units. You have to put the directions if anyone has, and you have to put the graph. And what is the way? Actually, you have to make a table, like draw a line and write speed at one side and the velocity at the other side, and you will get the idea of it. Okay, like what you have to do, you have to do you have to write the differences, and you will write it step by step with the bullet points or with the counting of differences. And the last thing is draw graphs whenever needed, that I have mentioned above. So it's just a simple way. You get the better idea now. So here we are going to end our session. If anyone has any question, you can ask. I'm here and I will answer these questions. And it will be and it will be a good picture if you share your results, as you have calculated something that was in your section that I have assigned you, so you can share your results. So hopefully the session is now clear to you, and you get the better idea of speed, velocity, and acceleration, and their graphical representations. So here I'm going to wind up this session and see you in the next session tomorrow. Stay with me tomorrow, and you can ask questions about this session too, and we will continue our new session that will be interesting, inshallah. See you. Allah Hafiz.